Today I am going to discuss with you regarding the morphology of the complete plants. Basically, the plant body is consisting of the two systems. That first is called as a shoot system and the second one is called as the root system. The plant body is consisting of the vegetative as well as the reproductive structures. The vegetative part mainly consists of the root, stem and the leaves. The root is underground part and stem and the leaf is the above-ground part. These are the vegetative parts of the plants. And secondly, the reproductive structure, that is called as a flower. Flower is a reproductive structure of the plant. Now, let us discuss about the whole structure. Morphologically, the root, the stem, the leaf or gate varies from one another. Understand? Root is having the taproot and the adventitious root system. There are certain modifications we have already discussed in the last few lectures. Secondly, the stem is also having some structures, that is stronger and the weaker stem. It has also the certain modification that we have already discussed in the last lecture. Now leaves, that leaf is the lateral appendages of the plant body, and leaf is mainly two types. That is, the one is called as the simple leaf and the other is called as the compound leaf. And later on, these having the different kinds. The many of the plants, they performing the such a type of the leaves, they get varies from one another. That is called as the diversity of the leaf. So maybe the compound leaf is having the unipinnate, bipinnate, tripinnate, tetrapinnate, like this. Pinnately compound leaf, unipinnate, then that we call it as the peripinnate or imperipinnate compound leaf. Then sometimes the palmately compound leaf is also recorded. So such a different kinds of the leaf which is present in the plants, and they may get varied from plants to plant species. So this is the vegetative part of the plant. Now flower is the reproductive structure of the plant. So let us see about the flower. What is meant by flower? What are the different parts of the flowers and how it will be utilized in the particular reproduction? Friends, the flower is a condensed modified shoot which is the reproductive structure of the any plant organism or the flowering plants, and mainly that flower is consisting of the two whorls. One is called as the accessory whorls and other is called as the essential whorls. Now let us focus on these two different kinds of the whorls. Basically, the accessory whorls is consisting of the two structures, that is called as the calyx and the corolla. Calyx is made up from the sepals and corolla is made up from the petals. And these are the accessory whorls. They are present in the accessory whorls of the flower. Then secondly, the essential whorls. Essential whorls are having two kinds. One is the androecium and other is the gynoecium. Androecium is consist of the filament, connective and the anther lobe, while the gynoecium is consisting of the three parts, that is ovary, style and the stigma. Now, when we observe these kinds of the whorls in the particular flower, then all the floral whorls are present, that is calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium. That type of the flower we call as an actinomorphic flower, that we also called as the complete flower. They are bisexual. And The zygomorphic flower is the another term where one of the part of the flower is lagging behind or lacking behind. That means they may be absent. Then we call, and they are not having the equal plane of divisions, that is a irregular shape of the flower, that we call it as the zygomorphic flowers. Though these are the two kinds of the flowers, one we call it as the complete flower and other we call them as a incomplete flower. So again, on the basis of the position of the flower on the thalamus, appearance of these floral whorls on the thalamus, it is categorized into three kinds of the flower. The first one is the hypogynous flower, second is the perigynous flower, and third one is the epigynous flower. These are the three kinds of the flower, which is basically on the basis of the morphological, that is the floral whorls which is appears on the thalamus. So they may be floral structures which is appear below the gynoecium, then we call them as the hypogynous flower. And it is present above the ovary, that floral whorls which is arise on the ovary, then we call them as a epigynous flower. And on the thalamus, that is on the peripheral side of the ovary, the floral whorls are coming up, then we call it as the perigynous flower. So these are the three different kinds of the flowers. Now let us see about one by one, that calyx and corolla. These are the, when they are present in a bud condition, there is the arrangement. They may be a valvate, they may be twisted, they may be a imbricate, they may be a quincunxal, they may be a rounded. Such a different kinds of the overlapping of the sepals and petal in bud condition, then that type of the condition we call it as the estivation. While in case of this androecium, so that is the estivation which is reported in the calyx and corolla, that is in the bud condition. When the flowers is in the bud condition, their overlapping we call them as the such a different kinds of the estivations. Similarly, that we have to see in the placentation of the ovary having the different kinds of the placentation, arrangements of the ovules in the ovary, then we call them as a placentation. They may be of various types, may be axial, may be marginal, may be parietal, may be basal, may be pendulous. So according to the arrangement of the ovules in the ovary, they are categorized into such a different kinds of the placentation. So what is placentation? Placentation is nothing but the arrangement of the ovules in the ovary or the arrangement of carpels in the ovary, then it is called as the placentation. Now we come to the particular point that is known as androecium. So androecium is, I just told you that there are three portions, that is filaments, connectives, and the anther lobe. So anther lobe containing the microspores, that we also called as the pollen grains, and pollen grains is the one of the male gamete of the plant, that is reproductive structure, male reproductive structure of the flower, and that from which later on it will developing into the male gametophyte, isn't it? Then secondly, in case of the gynoecium, so gynoecium is mainly consisting of the ovary, style, and stigma. Stigma is the receptor organ that receives it is a sticky substance which receives the pollen grains, and for the purpose of pollination, that pollen grains will be germinate on the stigma, and they enter into through the style and come in contact with the ovary having the egg, and these pollen grains after germination is developing into pollen tube. That pollen tube will be enters into the style, through the style, and come in contact with the egg where they get fertilized, that we call it as the double fertilization process. One male gamete which is fertilizes with the endospermic tissues, and one male gamete which is another male gamete will be fertilized with the zygote, they developing into endosperm, that is triplet. So double fusion which is occurs only in case of the angiospermic plants, that will be reported in only angiospermic plants, and that is the very typical mechanism which is present in the angiospermic plant, that is called double fertilization mechanism, isn't it? So in this way, that reproduction of this male and female gametophyte which is takes place, and they're developing into the zygote and the triploid endosperm. So this is the whole structures which is a complete life cycle of these of the plant that will be occurs in the any flowering plants. So this is one of the important thing where we learn the basic concept, basic things of the morphology of the plant. That is, morphologically there are two vegetative parts and the reproductive parts. Vegetatively, that is root, stem and leaves, and reproductively that is called the flower, and flower is having these such structures, isn't it? Okay, thank you for hearing me patiently.